Hello, thank you for joining me today. I'm Jan Clothier of Thinking Stamping and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in New Zealand. It's the start of 2023 and I'm just back from the holidays, so Happy New Year to everybody. And I thought I'd start off by sharing with you this card that I made for a challenge at Around the World on Wednesday. And our challenge for this month was to case something from the new Mini Catalogue, the January to April 2023 Mini Catalogue. So I'll start off by showing you what I'm casing. Case just means copy and selectively edit. So I'm going to case this card here, and you can see that I've preserved the general layout and the background of it, but other things have changed along the way. So here is the card that I am making, and it uses one of the celebration sets that you can earn for free with qualifying order called Adorable Owls. So we'll crack on and we'll start off by looking at what you need to make this card, apart from obviously the stamp set. So I've chosen to use Bermuda Bay, so my card base is Bermuda Bay. And it is, as always, for me, a standard card size, the width of an A4 piece of paper, 21 centimetres, cut at 14.8 and scored at 10.5. Now, if you're not a metric person, then just use whatever your standard card size base is. Now, along the way, if you see any products or things that you'd like to purchase and you live in New Zealand, there is a link to my online store at the bottom of this video and in the credits at the end. So, a card base, Bermuda Bay. A piece of basic white 10 centimetres by 10.3 for the inside. Again, use whatever your standard card inner is if you're not a metric person. You're going to need a piece of designer series paper, and this designer series paper is also a celebration product. I've cut that to 12 centimetres by 7.5, and I'm going to flag the bottom of it. So, I won't do that right now. I'll go carry on with what we need. You need a piece of basic white so that you can stamp the owl. You can see I've already done that. Now I've stamped the other owl because I liked the little bow tie. So I'm going to use this owl with the party hat, but I'm going to give him a bow tie. Obviously you could use any of the owls out of that set that you fancied. And then I'm going to colour them. You need a small piece of white. I've cut that at 7.5 by 7.5, but what I'm going to do with it is I'm going to take one of these stylish shapes. I think it's the second largest one, and I'm going to cut, as you can see I already have cut one of those out for the background. You need a little piece of Bermuda Bay or Coastal Cabana to do the sentiment on, and the sentiment is out of the set, It's Your Day. I see on my sample card I've cut Coastal Cabana, but I've given myself a Bermuda Bay one instead for this one, so you know, choose which colour you like. I think the other colour that's in there is Balmy Blue, so you could use that if you like. So what I did was I stamped that on my little piece with just Tuxedo Black, and then again the stylish shapes are very handy because the smallest banner die fits It's Your Day perfectly. So stylish shapes is a very useful set to have because those are great for sentiments. Okay, now the other thing you can see I've done is I've added in all these beautiful numbers as a background to the card. So you need some more Bermuda Bay, and to make life easy on yourself, use some of the adhesive sheets. Now, Stampin' Up has had two different incarnations of adhesive sheets, and I'm not sure whether I'm using the old one or the new one, but the one that I've got here is in strips. It's in strips of 5 centimetres wide. So, to make life easy, what I did was I cut the length of an A4 piece of paper, 5 centimetres wide. That exactly matches one of the adhesive strips, and you can see that what I did then was I cut my numbers out from it, and I got 2 full sets of the numbers. Now, where do the numbers come from, you ask? Well, they come from this Alphabet a la Mode set, which is also from the new January Mini Catalogue. It's a beautiful set because you see you get a whole set of slimline alphabets, but you also get a whole set of slimline numbers. And so what I did was I cut from my piece of paper 2 sets of every number. Now, I'm not probably going to use them all, but I am probably going to use more than 1 set. So it was easier for me to just cut them all out at once. And then I've got them here ready to use when I get up to that step. Okay, so that's all of the bits and bobs that we need. And so now we shall get on with the actual making. So I'm just going to flag this. Now, if you are particularly mathematically, not challenged, but anal, then you can measure halfway. I'm going to trust myself to eyeball it. Just make a little cut and then trim over to there. And the same from the other side. And hopefully I will have my nice little, whoops, my nice little flag. Didn't quite cut far enough. Okay, so a nice flag, done and dusted, ready for when I need it. I've already done my sentiment, I've already done this, and actually I have already pre-done my colouring. So as I said, I was going to colour him in. I've stamped him and all I need is the bow tie. And here he is, all done and dusted. Now you can use whatever colour medium you want to use, but I use Stampin' Blends. I used quite a selection of them. I used Balmy Blue for his eyes. I used Bermuda Bay for his part of his hat and his bow tie. I used Daffodil Delight for his beak and his feet. Crumb Cake for his body. Pool Party, because it was the closest I had to Coastal Cabana, for the rest of his hat. And then for his face, I just used a little tiny bit of light grey granite and then blended out the edges with the colour lifter just so that there was a bit of shading around his eyes. Now, I did that differently to how I did my original card, because you see my original card I coloured him all in smoky slate, and then although I liked him, I decided I liked him better with a lighter look, so that's why I've done them a bit differently. And that's one of the fun things about those owls, is you can play around for hours literally with how you colour them. So the next thing is, how did I do this background? Well, I've already shown you that I've die cut out 2 sets of the numbers on from the Alphabet a la Mode set, and they are backed with adhesive backing, so essentially they've turned themselves into large stickers. Now, my flagged piece is going to come in here. So obviously I don't need to waste my resources and my time with putting numbers under here. So I'm just giving myself a little pencil hint as to where that flag is going to be. Then I'm going to take my pick tool and I'm going to start the task of flicking off the backing and putting on the numbers. And that is quite a fun part, but also it's a little bit time consuming, so I am going to speed this part up so that you don't have to watch every laborious moment. But I will say before I do that, that you need to make sure that you don't have them all just inside the frame of the card. You can see here I've got some hanging off and where I've cut them, so it looks like you've cut out of a piece of fabric. You don't want it looking as though you've got a gigantic frame with them all stuck inside. So I'll just carry on and do this. Okay, so now you can see that I've stuck my numbers on. I've still got a few left over, and so it just depends how you organise them, how many you need. But I think you do definitely need to cut more than 1 set so that you've got plenty to work from. And then it's just a matter of popping around and snipping off. Now that probably took me maybe, I don't know, 5 minutes at the most to stick them on, and part of that was playing around with a mistake made by me because I stupidly painted my nails this morning and I've discovered that I'd left a little red streak of nail polish on. So I had to do a bit of reorganising to try and hide that. So if you're not making that mistake, it will definitely take you less than 5 minutes to just tidy up those letters, to just pop them on. But I think they make a really impressive little background and very, very easy to do. Now what you need to do is just test putting on your, where you're going to put your flag, and make sure you haven't got any gaps. You know, have a little look around. If you think there's a bit of a gap that needs some more letters, then just, you know, like you might go, I'll just put a little bit there, just stick it on and clip it off. You know, play around until you're happy with how filled in that the number background is. And then after that, it's pretty plain sailing what you do next. So I'm just going to attach my flag. You can see I've still got a little bit of that jolly red nail polish there. Add that to the list of things not to do in future. Okay, so I'm going to pop my flag on. Check over there just to make sure it's not, you know, poking over the top. And then we're going to add the circle. I'm just going to glue that on. Tape it if you like. If you're a tape person or a tape runner person, then, you know, do that. Whatever adhesive you like. Doesn't really matter. Okay, so I'm just going to press it just to give it a little bit of time to take hold. Okay, now when it comes to your owl, you can choose to glue it straight on, or you can pop it up on dimensionals. I'm going to glue them because I'm going to put the sentiment on dimensionals. But, you know, that's just a matter of personal taste. Whatever you prefer. Oops, and don't over glue because we do not want it to ooze when it is pressed together. So I'm placing him so that he's a little bit out of the frame, just as the top of his hat is going to poke up over the frame. Make sure he's straight. Now, dimensionals, we're just going to use a couple of minis. You know me, I like to use dimensionals, plenty of dimensionals, because I do not like whatever I'm lifting up to sag over time. So I'm going to use 3. And then we're just going to pop him. That's your day. And finally, just for a bit of blinginess, I'm going to use some of these beautiful iridescent rhinestone basic jewels, which are rapidly becoming my favourite new embellishment. So I'm going to stick one there. And the other thing I really like about them is there's 3 sizes, a big, a medium and a large. And I like it when I can have 3 different sized embellishments. So we'll put one there and perhaps a final little one up closer. There we go. And that's the outside done. Now on the inside, you can do, on that one I've done just stamped an owl, and I had a little scrap of the paper left over. I've actually already done an inside for this one, and I've just done pretty much the same thing, stamped an owl, added in some of the matching DSP. Obviously if you wanted to, you could colour in your owl, or you could do something completely different. I always say to my class people, you know, the inside is a really good place to have an explore and to try out some new things. So we'll just pop that in there. And there he is. Give him a nice little burnish just to make sure he folds nicely. Done and dusted. Right, so I hope you've enjoyed watching along with that video. As I say, this is a celebration set available with a qualifying order, as is the DSP. If you've seen anything that you've enjoyed today, any products that you've seen, you're welcome to shop with me if you live in New Zealand, and there's a link to my online store in the video description below and in the end cards at the end of this video. If you've liked what you've seen, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss my next video. And As always, I'm very happy to be contacted and to answer questions, and you can reach me through my blog or my Jan Clothier Independent Stampin' Up Demonstrator Facebook page, and there's links to both of those under this video and at the end card as well. Happy stamping!